everyone, and welcome to Community Media of Staten Island. I'm Sree Sreenivasan, the former Chief Digital Officer of New York City, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and Columbia University. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Digimentors, and I'm delighted to be back on Staten Island. This is my friend Marilyn Zafert and colleague. Thank you so much for being here. Marilyn, I call her the Queen of Staten Island, and you've done so much to help bring Staten Island back after Sandy, and you've taught me so much about digital and social, and tell us why we're here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for being here. We are here to make an impact with the nonprofits of Staten Island to help them thrive through artificial intelligence. And thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to Community Media of Staten Island and speaking with the members of nonprofit Staten Island.
Thank you very much, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you to learn that's what we're going to be doing, and you're going to join us in a little bit when we do Q&A. So thank you, Marilyn, and let's get started. I have some slides to show you, and they'll just be sort of the basis for a conversation, but really this is about thinking about this AI moment. I call this my non-scary guide to AI, and we're thinking about how to unlock the potential of AI for Staten Island, for nonprofits, and even if you're not in the nonprofits, you'll certainly find some ideas that you can use. I tell everybody when I'm teaching or talking, have a piece of paper or your phone out and make some notes. You can have two columns, things to try now, things to try later, or you can have a third column. I can't believe they brought this guy to Staten Island. What a waste of time. But really, one of the great skills of the 21st century is annotation, meaning annotating all the stuff that's coming at you. Do you know how to take information, make little notes, and then share them out without getting overwhelmed, without drowning in that fire hose of information that we're dealing with? So we're going to get started, and we're going to get questions from our audience here. And I want to tell you that you can get in touch with me anytime you like. My email is sree@digimentors.group, sree@digimentors.group, and we're using a hashtag today. We have two of them, Sree on SI and Sree AI. And we are going to make this as helpful to you as possible, but this will really work when we get questions from our audience. All right, so this is not the first time that I have been back to Staten Island for an event. Of course, I've been to Staten Island many times, including some great food on Staten Island. But a few years ago, when I left the Metropolitan Museum, Marilyn arranged for me to come to the museum, the Staten Island Museum, and to do a workshop about social media. In those days, that was the thing that everybody was talking about. And so here are some pictures from that event. This was me on the Staten Island ferry, and this was teaching. And I said, own your story so that you can tell your story. And we see Manveen there and her nonprofit educating orphan girls in India. It was a fantastic day. I learned so much. And that's our friend Stephen Kaplan at Spin It Social. Some of you may recognize me if I show you these photographs, because I had a whole career as a TV journalist, as the tech guy on WABC, WNBC, and WCBS. But as you can see, in those days, I had hair and looked a little different than I do today. And I'm going to show you a little clip from one of the segments very early on at 6:45. I used to be on the air here in New York City. I did the Today Show, I did ABC, the Good Morning America, all of those places. Regis and Kelly, we talked about how to use the internet with those folks.
Holiday shopping time, which means a lot of gift lists, long lines, packages that make a lot of noise.
That's
when
right.
You unpack them like Sree did this morning.
We can't do too much about the first two, but one store is trying to at least reduce the number of packages that you have to carry. And Shree's here to tell us about it. Hi.
Yes, you know, many of us are familiar with bridal and baby registries.
Yeah.
You go around a store, scan products, and create a wish list. Well, now that experience can be translated to regular shopping. The Container Store, a chain of stores that sells, well, containers and other items, has launched a system that allows shoppers to use this scanner to choose items. We went down to a store downtown to check it out.
They look like a bunch of old-fashioned calculators just sitting around, but they're trying to revolutionize shopping.
Our customers are time starved. You know, they're space starved, so we're really looking to save them space and also time.
The Container Store does just that by using these handheld scanners
to allow customers to walk through the store, select items, scan them, and then
I just put it back.
Yes.
Using the scanner, I was able to select more than 10 items. It was fast and easy, but the best news of all? No shopping cart.
the shopper takes the scanner to the checkout counter and pays for the products. It can then be delivered within a 3-hour window that day or later in the week. There's a $15 charge, which is typically less than the shipping costs of buying from the store's website.
You can buy a paper clip or you can buy the entire store, and it's $15 anywhere in Manhattan.
Just don't compare this to a bridal registry system.
This is a step above in that you can get the items that you want today. You're not really shopping for things that, a wish list. It's things that you want today.
Right now, this is only available in the downtown Manhattan store. Depending on how it does, look for it across the country. If this is successful, it's going to be pretty lonely for these shopping carts.
And was I wrong or was I wrong? We have a lot of shopping carts when you go outside today into the stores. But think back to 2005. What are some things that you use today, every day, we take for granted that didn't exist back then?
E-commerce shopping.
E-commerce shopping, so that's why you don't need this.
Scale, not like it was with just Amazon.
That's right. So many things. What else? What are some tools that you use now that you didn't have back there in 2005? Anybody? Google, everything with Google, right? Gmail didn't exist. Google Maps didn't exist. Do you remember when MapQuest was such a great thing and we loved MapQuest? And then we moved on. That's sort of how life goes and technology changes. So let's show you that this is, there's a trend and meme on the internet. They do how it started and how it's going. So this is how I started. I used to teach workshops called This is Email. Please use email. And people say, I don't need email. I love the fax. And some of you are like, what is fax? Look at the You remember how the computers used to look? Everything was beige. You remember that? This person had a really cool black laptop, as you can see there. And now here I am teaching AI, and everything's different, but some of the technology is still the same, as you know. And I want to just go through some of the things that I used to teach. Better use of email, surfing the web, things you didn't know Google does. LinkedIn, anyone? And I can tell you that one of our interns here, I asked her, are you on IG or Twitter? And she said LinkedIn. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool that in a professional setting, LinkedIn is the way to go. And social networking for communications professionals, Gmail 101, Google Docs 101, figuring out blogs, Web 2.0, advanced social media, and now AI. And it's all part of this idea that technology changes and some of the things stick and we need to know how to use them. And I've done workshops for 25,000 people, 75 cities, 25 countries about social media. But you can see we're in the very early days of talking about AI. You're in the 4th session that I've ever done. And when I was Chief Digital Officer of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, people would ask me, Sree, why don't you have QR codes next to all the paintings? People would learn so much. And I said, Americans hate QR codes. They don't use them. That was when I was at the Met. And now, of course, there are QR codes everywhere. And look at all my QR codes. That's a lot of QR codes. By the way, I have my Venmo. So if anyone who wants to send me money, please feel free to send me as much money as you like. We will make a donation to the community media of Staten Island. But more seriously, what this shows you is how America has changed, right? We are using QR codes. Why did we start using them? During the pandemic, menus had QR codes, that one thing. But there's a lesson in here. We know that Apple created QR code readers in the iPhone, and so people should have used it, but they didn't tell anybody. And Apple is the greatest marketing machine of all time, and they forgot to tell people in 2014 they did it. And I tell folks, if Apple can't market something, then what the heck can the rest of us do? So the point here is if we do something in our nonprofit, in our work, in our business, we have to be thinking of how do we tell people? How do we market that? Almost everything you do needs a marketing plan is how I look at it. And by the way, with all of this going on, you know what still works? Email. Email still works. I would have predicted that email is no longer necessary, but here we are still using email. So here's what we're going to cover. What is generative AI, why it's useful, why it's scary, use cases, do a live demo, get lots of questions from all of you as we do this. And one of my favorite memes on the internet, this is the hottest summer of my life, says Bart, and Homer says, you mean this is the coldest summer of the rest of your life. If you think about it, you'll get it, you'll cry. right? Or you'll laugh. You have to laugh, otherwise you'll just cry all day. So I made a version of that. ChatGPT is really scary, but remember, this is the least scary it will ever be. It's the least powerful it'll ever be. It'll be the least useful it will ever be. So how do we react to this? What do we do about this, right? If you're saying, okay, this is what our future is, what can we do? If this is our future, what can we do? And that's why I like to think about it in that way. And here are some headlines that will help you think about what's going on. You see, an AI startup raises $105 million in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And there are people out there with real businesses, with real revenue, helping people, can't get a dollar. But these guys look like a boy band. Do you notice that? And somebody said, if this doesn't work out, they can in fact be a boy band and ready to go. So what is this telling you? You're all getting emails from companies saying, we are AI, things that have nothing to do with AI, they're saying we're AI. So your local grocery stores, we have AI, and you'll see that as well. So that's one story. How about the professor attempts to fail students after falsely accusing them of ChatGPT being used and cheating, and it turned out he was wrong. Or a lawyer submitted cases, these precedents for a legal brief, and they were made up by ChatGPT. So, they're saying Zayfert versus Srenivasan, and it wasn't it just made it up completely. And that's the world we live in now. So how do we process all of this? How do we deal with all of this is a question. So as with everything, you want to go to the source material, and you're going to see, if you go to any talk anywhere in the world in the future, there will always be somebody said, I asked ChatGPT to show you something. So instead of going to ChatGPT, I went instead to bard.google.com. A couple of things that I want you to know. The term ChatGPT is like a brand, right? Like Kleenex versus all kinds of pocket tissue. And there are so many other brands of AI and generative AI. One of the things that Marilyn told us is that AI has been around on our computers for years. It's just the new thing about AI is the way it works, the way it can generate new responses and learn and get smarter as it goes along. That's what you're seeing here. So I asked bard.google.com. There were 3 things everyone should know. So generative AI is powerful, can be used in a variety of tasks. It's still under development, and it has a potential for both good and bad. That's pretty good. One of the things that happened in recent weeks is the CEOs of all the major AI companies wrote a letter, open letter, saying, folks, this is scary stuff, and we're worried about the future. Imagine if the cigarette companies had done that 40 years ago. What did they lied to us for 40 years saying, this is safe, this is safe, this is safe. Here, right at the beginning, they're saying, we don't know. We can't control this yet. We're worried, folks. That's what they said. So that's Bard, and this is ChatGPT. So again, it's sometimes confusing. ChatGPT comes from a company called OpenAI, and you go to openai.com, and then you have a ChatGPT here. And I asked it to write a tweet about this, and there it wrote the tweet and put a hashtag in there, as you can see. 3 things that we should know about it, and it says it's not just text, but images and music, and it's making content that is indistinguishable from human-made. So that's what they're promising, but that's raising concerns. The Grammy Awards, right, the Academy of Radio Arts and Sciences, Recording Arts and Sciences just announced AI will not qualify for the Grammys starting next year. So that's interesting. So one of the ways in which I like to use AI is from a website called monica.im. And what that will allow you to do is have the AI travel with you as you're going to different parts of the internet. And here I asked it to keep 3 things in mind about generative AI. I wrote them down here, and I said I want it to be professional, right? You can see I said, give it a tweet, make it professional, and that's what it did. And then I said, make it witty, and it said, it's like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. So it's having some fun with it here, and you can do that. So monica.im is something else you should learn and keep note of. This is where we're going to take a break.
Ticks are common in New York State, and they can carry disease, so it's important to check for ticks and to know how to promptly remove a tick if you find one attached. First, you'll need a pair of fine-tip tweezers like these. They work much better than blunt-tip tweezers or your fingers alone. You can do this yourself or ask a friend to help. Before you start, clean your tweezers with a little rubbing alcohol on a cotton ball. Now grasp the tick where the mouth is attached, which isn't always easy to see, especially on ticks the size of poppy seeds. But if you gently lift the tick with your tweezers, you can see that it's attached like a hinge. That's how you can tell where the mouth is. Get as close to your skin as possible with your tweezers. Now pull in a slow, steady, upward motion away from the skin. Don't twist, jerk, or wiggle it out. Your skin will pull up as the tick detaches, just like when you pluck a hair. Afterward, clean the bite site with rubbing alcohol and a little antibacterial cream. If the mouth parts stay in your skin, you can either leave them alone or try to remove them with tweezers, as you would a splinter. Keep an eye on the bite site for 30 days, watching for any kind of rash, including the telltale bullseye rash for Lyme disease, or for flu-like symptoms such as headaches, muscle aches, or fever. If any symptoms do develop, you'll want to see your doctor and make sure to let him or her know the date and location of the bite. Remember, not all ticks carry disease, and your risk for disease is greatly reduced if ticks are removed promptly. Knowing how to safely remove a tick can help keep you safe from tick-borne disease. Learn more at health.ny.gov/tick-free.
Let's have a round of applause for Christina Moon.
I was desperately in need of a new set of lungs. Billy Moon saved my life.
I was in end-stage liver disease. I received Billy Moon's liver, and it saved my life.
Becoming an organ donor means you can help save lives. Billy is not only our hero, he's a forever hero to others because he became an organ donor. Check the box, become an organ donor.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Community Media of Staten Island and our workshop on unlocking the power of social media. Oops, I do so much social media. We're unlocking the power of AI for Staten Island. I'm now going to turn to my friend and colleague Marilyn Zafert, who has some colleagues and friends here who are going to ask some questions about AI. And tell us who you are and your question, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Ife Akinshaye Damon. I'm the founder and CEO of the Global Academy for Community-Based Education. And so thank you. As an educator of educators, one of the most common concerns around generative AI is that students will now utilize it as, they'll submit essays solely from the generation that AI produces. So what are some suggestions that you have of how teachers can look at this as not something that's scary and to just say, no, you can't do it, but how can teachers actually get ahead of this and start to think of this as a resource that can be used and to train students appropriately on how to use it as a tool?
This is one of the most important things that I think about with AI. What can teachers do? And by the way, thank you for being not just a teacher, but a teacher of teachers. And we have at least another person here who's doing that. We have to worry a lot. I have a friend who's a teacher who said, thank God the spring break or summer break came right now, because now I have the summer to worry about what to do because it happened so fast. And I think we're at one of those moments where we have to train people to understand the benefits and the problems, and that's why we're doing workshops like this. And all of us are going to create the standards, create the policies that are going to help us understand this. So part of it is showing students that this is what it does, but we have to be careful and that we can get in trouble. You saw the professor who was already presuming students are guilty when they aren't. One of the things to think about is plagiarism has always been a problem, right? Just copying and pasting from Wikipedia. Kids who would do that from Google would easily do it here as well. So we have to teach them why what we're doing is helping you think about how you write, how you think, and where we go with this. So one thing to do is to say, maybe I will have you do one version using ChatGPT, and then I want you to write another without using it and see the difference, or maybe flip it, start without and then see the difference, or your assignment is to correct the ChatGPT mistakes that happen. That's something that you can play around with. And teachers are always going to have the answer in what we're going to do. You folks are the ones who know how to use this. And I will also say that this is a problem from kindergarten to postgraduate education. This is not an 8th grade problem. This is a problem for all of us. In terms of where we go with policy for government or resources, I mean, I'll just say that every organization I've worked with, even ones that have a lot of money and a lot of resources, say that they're understaffed. So under-resourced, understaffed. We have no budget, say organizations with $3 billion endowments. So that's a given. But in terms of what government can do, it's really about taking the wide range of things that come at us as government officials, right? Where we are trying to provide services to our people, the citizens, and there are just too many options. So if there's a way in which using tools like ChatGPT and AI to reduce the paperwork, reduce the time that we waste just trying to get people through the system, depending on the industry, that's a way to start. That one of the things that I saw that IBM now has all its HR functions. The first level of questions is not with a human, it's with a chat bot. And when they first introduced it, people were very angry about it. Now people actually prefer their first level of conversation to be with a chat bot and get in real time the answers, because people can't work 24 hours, but the machines can. So are there specific things that we can try? That's what we have to do. And the answer is not just to have hearings. The answer is to have conversations so that we can all learn from this. So let's do one more, and then we'll continue with the workshop. And we're coming back to talk about art and images, not just text. Hi.
I have 2 questions to ask you. The first question is related to AI when it comes to content writing. So my big question is, how does ChatGPT prevent plagiarism, and what kind of software can you use? Because I've used other softwares, like Xeroxing software online and things like that for running things, running plagiarism tests. That's the first question I have to ask, is about the plagiarism prevention. The second question I have to ask is this, right? And this kind of has to do with the government in some ways. So politics and advertising, right? In a lot of political campaigns, fake news arises. And what you said earlier was about fake news. How can we possibly prevent that from happening in the future, if there's any preventive? What are your thoughts?
Thank you. The 2 easy questions, plagiarism and fake news and disinformation. I'm so worried about the 2024 elections. We lived through the 2020 and the 2016 elections, and you saw disinformation, misinformation, what it did to us as a country. What is going to happen when I show you some of the things that we can do right now that I have to tell you, don't believe your eyes, don't believe your ears, don't believe what you read, right? That's what we used to say all the time. Don't believe what you read. One of my favorite sayings is, if your mama says she loves you, check it out, right? You still love you. You say, Mama, I love you, but you want me to do the dishes? What is going on here, right? So, but in the other way to think about this in terms of the plagiarism side is that there are tools that these are bots fighting the bots that can tell you if this was generated by a bot. But we saw the professor who failed students because he think a bot was used when it wasn't. So that's, and with the elections, I'm going to show you some stuff in a second that is going to be so scary for all of us. So we have to teach our family members, please be careful before you hit forward. Some of you are on texting chains. Some of you use WhatsApp and other tools where you're sharing information, and you'll see it's so easy to spread fake news. In the early days of the internet, I used to show a website that was labeled MLK, and it was run by neo-Nazis. So that was a shocking thing, because it just looked, the first page was perfect, and then they got you in, and then it was all lies about everything to do with MLK. So that's where we are. Let's look at not just text, but another tool called DALL-E, like the artist, DALL-E, and it's from OpenAI. And I asked it to make a painting of a beagle eating a dosa. A dosa is a South Indian treat. It's like a crepe or a pancake. And here's what it made, and that's on our Beagle's Instagram account. And I think it did a pretty good job of creating that. And you can, of course, change what you want. I went in there and said, make an impressionist oil painting of someone teaching an AI workshop. That's pretty good, right? It looks like that. Then I said, let's do a cyberpunk version of this. And you can see, again, it's doing it in real time. It takes seconds to show this kind of work. And that's the opportunity and the scary part. And now I'm going to introduce you to Deep Tom Cruise.
What's up, TikTok? You guys cool if I play some sports? I love it. More for the audio experience. Oh, it's it's a little embarrassing, you know. It reminds me, I was once in Russia. I ran into Gorbachev. He said, "You know, Mr. Movie Star."
You know where this is going. That's not Tom Cruise, right? Look how real it looks. So if someone sent you a video of Tom Cruise telling you how to vote, some of you will vote because he says this, others say the opposite. But just imagine this is the world we're living in, that this is an actor who looks a little like him and runs things through AI and is able to make himself look like Tom Cruise. And there are so many versions of this kind of issue here. So that's in video. There's a tool called 11 Labs which works on audio. And some of you know Run DMC and their wonderful song, My Adidas. And what I did was I went into 11 Labs and gave it 15 seconds of my audio reading something. And then I gave it this text, the lyrics of My Adidas, and let's see how it did. And to make it work properly, it says you need at least a minute of my audio. But in this case, it only had this very little 15 seconds. So I did not, what you're about to hear was not said by me.
I am Sree Sreenivasan, and I'm here to say my Adidas walked through concert doors and roam all over Coliseum floors. I stepped on stage at Live Aid. All the people gave and the poor got paid. And out of speakers I did speak. I wore my sneakers, but I'm not a sneak. My Adidas touched the sand of a foreign land. With mic in hand, I cold took command.
We'll pause there. And that's with 15 seconds of my audio. What if it had an hour of my audio? And you can fine tune it and adjust it. This is the scary thing. So you get a call saying from a political leader you love who says something on the phone to you. God, oh wow, she's telling me to vote. Or it could be the opposite, right? How do we deal with this? And where do we go with this? So this is, and of course, I'm a terrible rapper, as you can tell, in real life, and my AI version is also awful. So any comments about what you saw on the video side or the audio side that you would like to say anything? Otherwise, we'll just keep rolling. Yeah, we have a comment? Yeah, please. Staten Island Urban Center.
Hi, my name is Shani Mitchell. I'm the Youth and Media Coordinator at Staten Island Urban Center. And my question to you is actually, were you uncomfortable with using your audio for that long? Or like, was there a reason why you only did a few minutes or a few seconds instead of?
Yeah. Well, in this case, I was just trying to test it. I want to see what, if you give it such little information, what can it do? So, you know, you could just get a voicemail of somebody. I could take someone's voicemail and do this and have them read the Declaration of Independence or anything. And that's scary, right?
Yeah, but I mean like privacy for
yeah,
you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, in my case, I'm trying to teach, so I'm willing to try all this. But you can see what this can do. And I didn't do any tweaking. You can go in and adjust the bass and all of that to make it better or worse.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the opportunity. So another way to look at this is there's a magazine article that was done about the new editor of the Wall Street Journal, 7,000-word article, and I said to them, I said to the machine, I said, give me a summary of it, a 100-word summary. And it was a perfect summary. It was so good, except it said it's a fictional account when it was nonfiction. So it got everything right except the most important part. The least thing it could afford to get wrong, it got wrong. So again, we think this machine is infallible. We think it can get it all right. but it doesn't, and that's the problem. So I'm going to show you at least one example of something in real life that we can show you called Roam Around. Okay, and this is your personal AI travel planner. Where would you like to go? Your family trip somewhere? Anybody? The Czech Republic. Okay, so we'll say Prague. Okay, so let's say 5 days in Prague. Oops, sorry. Is this a trip you're actually taking? 5 days in Prague, not yet. Okay, so I just go 5 days in Prague to roamaround.io, and you will see it will just build this in real time. Day one, what to do? You need this. So day one, afternoon, what to do. And of course, you're not going to do exactly this, but it gives you ideas, right? You can see this, bedtime, and then here are hotels. And you can see how are they going to make money, because they're going to be able to say, here's what, here's a hotel in Prague. And then day two, here's a morning. Now, what is interesting about this is turn this into, make it, I've done 5 days, right? Make it, I need to know how to spell. Make it 1 day. Right? And then it'll give you, in real time, it will change this into a 1 day. Let's see here, 1 second. It's thinking. Demos never work, right? Or it's okay, I'm vegetarian, okay? And then it'll generate it in vegetarian. It'll say best coffee shop, more outdoorsy, family travel, I'm going with a kid, what should I do? In real time, it will generate the new things. And that's what that particular tool does. Here is Movie Deep Search. This is an example of how AI doesn't have to be just general. It can be for specific things. So this is for folks who are in the movie industry and you're a lighting technician. You say, I want to find a totally absorbing drama film about an existential theme with bright sunlight and low light camera work, because I'm studying that, right? You tell it and it'll pull out a list of every movie that does that. You say, well, I want it from the 1950s, every movie that does that. So this is, you can think about how it dives deep into specific subject areas. And I will show you another example here of a tool called a hashtag generator for IG. And we have a friend here who works in marketing. And if you go in here and you say you want something to do with Paris, it will show you what are the hashtags you want to use for Paris. What are the different, which ones to try? Here's frequent, average, rare. So it's taking something from a particular industry and doing this. But it's also doing it in the medical profession, in healthcare. I'm going to say on TV that I had my colonoscopy in February. Everyone who is old enough, please get a colonoscopy. And the doctor said they're using AI because the cameras can spot things which the AI can recognize as dangerous in things that he himself, who's been a doctor for 30 years, can't recognize. He believes he has saved multiple lives because of AI. And so AI isn't always scary, but it's always something that we have to think about. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get more questions and think about more policies and how we make sure we're safe online. So we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Brian Backinson. I'm a research scientist and epidemiologist here at the New York State Department of Health. And we're going to talk a little bit today about things you can do to prevent yourself from getting bitten by ticks during the summer months when ticks are most active. The first thing you can do is wear light-colored clothes. If you're going to come across a tick, you're going to wind up being able to see that tick crawling on your pants or crawling on your shirt. Even better than that would be if you're wearing socks, you can tuck those pants into your socks, really giving ticks that start really low on the ground less of an opportunity to crawl up. In some cases, when it's really, really hot out, you may not necessarily want to be wearing long pants and long sleeves when you're outside. There are 4 active ingredients that really work well for repelling ticks and mosquitoes. Those are DEET, picaridin, oil of lemon eucalyptus, and IR3535, which used to be in the Avon Skin So Soft products, but you now can find it in some other products as well. It's always important for you to read the label whenever you're going to wind up applying a repellent to your skin or to your clothing. People often make the assumption that the higher percentage of a particular product means that it's better, means that it's stronger, and that's not necessarily the case. For all these particular products, what they do is they indicate how long that you're protected. So a product that contains about 20 to 25% DEET, which is what most of the products that you're going to wind up seeing on store shelves are, that is a product that will protect you for about 4 to 6 hours, and that's when most people are out. When you get back in from being outside, there's a couple of things you ought to do as well. You should take off your clothes, and if you put your clothes into a really hot dryer for about 10 minutes or so, it will kill any ticks that are on them.
Hi, everybody. We were just having too much fun in the studio here. We were listening to the AI DJ here on Spotify. So if you check that out, you might have some fun as well. But we are going to go to some questions to wrap up our hour together. But before we do that, I want to show you that you're going to see LinkedIn all over the world, all over your computer, all over your phone. And here you're seeing AI as using LinkedIn for offering writing prompts based on your skills. So you have to turn creator mode on, and it will suggest share a tip on segmenting your marketing or balancing creativity, meaning you're going to see how AI is going to be built in to so many of the tools you're already using. If you use Google Docs, there's a way to turn that on so that it will help you connect with and improve the text you're writing. And that's in real time that it's doing that. So this is LinkedIn. And then resumes are big with AI. There's a tool called resume.io, which will create these resumes. If you're a receptionist, if you're a carpenter, if you're an HR professional, and there are different styles, and you can teach it what you want it to do, and it'll just improve, and then you can generate a PDF or a docx. You can do that. Here is an AI content detector. We were asked about that earlier, and this is called writer.com, and it'll say 97% human-generated content. I have a newsletter at Substack. It's sreenet.substack.com, and I put in my text here, and it said it's 97% human-generated. So Marilyn, I'm 97% human. That some of my friends will be like, I didn't know you were even 97%. I thought you were more like 80%. But this is one of the tools that you can use. And I think you will find that things will just keep coming and getting better. I've written some essays on this. But let's pause here. And we have a question from our audience. And we're going back to the Staten Island Urban Center. Yes.
Me again with the Staten Island Urban Center, but
Tell
besides,
us what you do at the Urban Center.
I was just about to say that. Yes, I am the youth and media coordinator at Staten Island Urban Center, but mainly what I do there is content creation. Even outside from there, I'm a content creator. So I get to go around other nonprofits and filming them and documenting them and just getting involved with AI. So I actually enjoy AI and love it, and that's why I was asking about the privacy concern. But another thing...
So can I just pause there and just
to
say this is really important for us to hear, that not all of us should be scared about it, right? You found ways to use it, and you like it, but you also know the guardrails, and you know that. That's the important part. That I'll give you an example. When I was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, we used to have a policy that no one can post images from the museum. It was very controlled. But one of the things we did was we opened up the policy, and then one of our best IG accounts was from one of our security guards. She'd been there 30 years. She knows security, right? But she also has access to things. She posts these beautiful photos all from the inside, but she knew the guardrails, so to speak. And that's why it's important. We can't be just scared of this. We have to tackle it. So I appreciate your saying that.
Yes. So my question, and it could probably opinion, but what are your thoughts on, it's amazing that they do have, free access, but I have seen on some of these platforms and programs where they do charge you to be able to get even better benefits than the average user. So what is your thoughts on that, if you don't
so
mind sharing?
what we call a freemium model, right? I think they got it from drug dealers. You give away your first few hits, and then you come back once you hooked into us. You know, one of the things that happened with the early internet is that everything was free, so we presumed everything's always going to be free, and that affected things like newspapers. And here on Staten Island, you know, we know the value of good content, good information, and that you have to pay for good, useful, accurate news. So same way you're going to see that these tools are going to charge. And what I would love for them to see is to do what Google does for nonprofits. They have grants that they do, which I urge everybody to apply for. There'll be certain parts of these will have, especially for nonprofits, I'm confident they will offer lower rates. You should ask as well. Especially so many of these companies are just getting started. They don't know what they're doing, and they don't think about the nonprofit world, the education world, right? So part of it is connecting with them, saying, here's what I'm doing. My folks can't afford this. You know, you've seen Twitter's charging, like for the blue check mark, it's $9 a month, and you say, okay, that's $9 a month. But if you're a company, you know what it is. It's $1,000 a month. And for everybody who's using it, it's like several $100s a month. That adds up. And my nonprofit clients are not signing up for that because they can't afford it. And that's at the moment now. So things will change and evolve, but it's always up to us to ask those right questions. So thank you for that. All right, let's do a couple more questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we were talking about the hashtags earlier, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in social media marketing, and one of the biggest
Let's get your company name again.
Sure. 123 Publish Incorporated.
Nice.
So here's the thing. With hashtag usage, you cannot use the same hashtags over and over again on posts because of this thing called shadow banning. And not only that, with that shadow banning, you know, your content is suppressed, and then that could cause long-term damage. What can be possible in terms of the prevention of shadow banning with the usage, you know, with the usage of that software? And the second question that I have, and this is a loaded question, which was mentioned, you know, the second question I have related to the hashtags is that how can that program that you have detect trending hashtags that are relevant, especially now?
Yeah, so that's what they promise to do, that they are constantly looking at what's working and what's not. Look, at the heart of it, with everything here, I'll always say that what's going to win out and why us humans are going to win is because we have the experience, the wisdom, the background, the critical thinking, and the analysis that will get us through this. But in the meantime, what do we do? Right? So I'm hoping that the tool gets better and more accurate as they're doing it. In terms of shadow banning, I'll give you the tip that I was given by the co-founders of Instagram, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, that don't put all these hashtags into everything you're doing because it looks marketing-y, like human beings. Yeah. So they said 3 to 5 hashtags in the original post, and then in a comment in IG, like then you go to town, put in as many as you want. But people don't like marketing, right? People don't like being marketed to, but they love good content. Some of you know that Vogue magazine has a big September issue, right? It's like this thick, full of ads, but people love it because the ads are in context. If the ads are good, interesting, relevant, I will watch them. If they're boring, terrible, I won't watch them. Like the YouTube ads, some of us don't like them, but you know that, okay, it's 4 seconds you can skip, 6 seconds you can skip. But you know when you go to one of the TV station videos, to watch a 15-second clip, I have to sit through 30-second ad. And all 30 seconds I'm fuming, getting more and more angry at this brand that's advertising to me. But when you talk to consumers, they say, I don't mind ads if they're relevant, if they make my life better, if I learn something, if I'm happy, makes me happy. I don't mind ads, right? So that's that balance that we have to find. And these algorithms are written by human beings. That's what we shouldn't forget. And so that's one of the problems that we are dealing with, of course. There's another, so in addition to DALL-E, there's a very popular image generator tool called Midjourney, which some of you have heard of. And they made a magazine where every image was created by Midjourney. It looked good, but had no soul. It was so boring. Because I can tell you this, that one of our clients was a hotel, an Italian chain of, not chain, but a group of restaurants. And one of the things we did was we had professional photographers take the pictures. They put they take these photographs with high-end cameras, and then we had the same professional photographer take it with just an iPhone or a high-end Android, and guess which one had more clicks? Because it was the one with the taken on the phone, not on the high-end camera, because it just looked more real. It feels like the authentic. Yeah, that's a word we have not used today. Thank you. Authenticity is what's going to get us through this. So let's get some more comments and questions. We have a few minutes left. Thank you so much for joining us and watching this session from Community Media of Staten Island.
Hi, my name's Chris Dowling. I'm the director of the Village for A Chance in Life. And my question is really a little bit open-ended. We're here from a bunch of nonprofits today, and AI, as you say, can be scary. And I think that one of the things that we're not addressing, and that we probably need to, is the effect on the people that we're serving. Because it's great to do all this advertising stuff, and all the bells and whistles are nice, but we're really talking about people who are in need. And I'm afraid that their message is going to get lost in the hype. And that, you have grant writing. Well, grant writing, a lot of it is about the soul of the person, okay?
Exactly.
And getting out there. And you've already just mentioned it about being authentic. And I'm afraid that we're going to lose the authenticity of our work and the work and the people that we're serving. So is there anything going on right now that you can talk about a little bit about where we are legislative-wise, or in the morality of the situation and what's being done?
So you've raised several things that are important. Morality, the people we serve, the soul of what we do. And I can tell you, having worked and gotten lots of grants and helped my clients get lots of grants, that every single grant has not come from a machine or even my laptop. It's come from our relationship. It's come from going to coffee and them understanding the clients that we have, the people we're serving. People are willing to write checks if they know what is the benefit of it, right? Like, I'll give you an example. At the Metropolitan Museum, we wanted to raise money from the tech sector. And tech guys and gals who make money want to give what they call quantifiable philanthropy, because they have this idea, if I give 100 malaria bed nets, I've saved 100 people. So they want like stats on everything, right? They don't understand. So part of it is teaching them the value. So at the Met, we said, well, we have 250,000 kids who come through the school programs, and you can help them. And they were like, oh, we didn't even know that, because we thought it's all about the paintings. It's not about the paintings. It's about the connection to the paintings and the art. And again, we go back to that word, the soul of what we do. So I say to people who are, the work you're doing is so important. You know that, because you're helping people every day. That's why you got into this, right? We could have, most of us who do nonprofit work could have done something else, made more money. But the satisfaction we have every day of working with our clientele or the people we help comes from us helping them, giving them, in some cases, we're giving them a purpose. In some cases, we're saving their lives or improving their lives. So I do a lot of conversations with folks on the other end, the charity, the nonprofits, and they want to figure this out. They want to know, in fact, that the letter that you've written is real, that it was not written by ChatGPT. You're not going to get any credit for it being, you generated a letter faster is not going to help them. They want it to be real, correct. Imagine that lawyer who submits a brief to the court and has 6 fake precedents in it. Like, it could happen I could say to ChatGPT or whatever, write a grant giving examples of our neediest cases, and it'll make up something. And are you thinking you're going to get my money? No, right? Like, this is the problem. Do you ever get political email? It's some of the worst email headlines I've ever seen. In fact, I'm collecting a whole bunch of terrible headlines, subject lines, right? They're so, like, nobody talks like this. No, like, one of the things apparently they've said is, if you say bad news in the subject line, then people will give money, right? So they'll say, it'll start by saying, Sree, bad news. And then you'll, oh my God, what's the bad news? And it's like another politician asking for money. So that's not what gets the money. It's like, I know this politician is doing good work and I want to support her. Like, that's what we want to respond to, not this. So the work that you're doing, I'm confident that, again, we go back to the fact that you have the wisdom, the experience, the background, and those relationships. And you know the people who are there. So that's what lets me sleep at night without, but I still worry. I get up a little bit thinking about all this, but not, I do get to sleep. And thank you for your service, really. We have time for a couple more questions. Yeah.
Hi, so my name is Dr. Leslie, and I am the CEO of A Gift of Experience. I actually also work with A Chance in Life with their students, and I also work with the Staten Island Chamber of Commerce. And my question, actually my comment, let's start with a comment first, is around education. I teach for City University of New York, so I teach teachers. I'm the other one.
Yes, thank you.
And I also have the pleasure of working with young students in the at the secondary level, and I look at their comfort level now with
Tech,
social
yes,
media,
yeah.
with AI, and so I'm thinking to myself, like you just mentioned, the case of the lawyer with the with these
Fake precedents, yeah.
right. And there's just a comfort level now. I've been teaching for a number of years, so I noticed that students now have a comfort level of just being able to write. And I notice also with the entertainment, you mentioned it before about the award show saying we're not giving awards for AI. However, there was an asterisk to that. They're not giving awards for pure AI, but if there's some human content in there, they'll give awards.
Thank you for that.
So
yeah.
you're welcome. So my insight is around the governing agencies around education, say APA, the American Psychological Association, Chicago, the peer review researchers, NAEP, the National Association of Education Progress, the governing bodies that really give us insight and guidance about how we should hold AI. Are they moving in the direction of being more accepting of AI for students who are coming through, say, with their masters or with their doctorates? Are we looking at a situation where we now have governing agencies who, in the past, they would have, auspices over what is acceptable at different levels in terms of proficiency? Are we going to be seeing in the future where AI now becomes a part of what's acceptable, depending on how it's integrated into the educational landscape?
Yeah, thank you. These are all multiple important questions in there. We just have a couple of moments left, unfortunately. We're almost out of time. But I do want to say that, and maybe this is a way for us to look ahead, that it requires each one of us talking to either our certifying bodies or the legislatures at every level, our local government, to say, what are we doing? How are we going to use these tools? There are things that in my lifetime have changed. Think about the attitude toward cannabis. Just the 10-year-old me would not believe what's happened. Or gambling in this country. The fact that there are sports teams in Las Vegas when they were so scared, and now betting is everywhere, right? So society changes, and we accept some things that some of us don't want to accept, but that becomes reality. And that's, I saw that one of the big stadiums is named after a betting site. Like, it's impossible to imagine that could have happened in my lifetime. And some of these things are progressive good things, and some of them are bad. But one of the reasons why I like talking to nonprofits about this, do you remember in the cannabis story, they were told that this time, if we make cannabis open and legal, it will benefit some of the communities that were badly affected by cannabis. Well, some of the biggest players in cannabis are who? Big finance companies, big Wall Street. Like, it's the same people that are benefiting from something so that's why I want all of us to get into AI early, understand what it can do, understand its peril and its promise, and look forward. And this is just one conversation. We're going to have many more, and we all need to do this, and we all need to participate. I want to give Marilyn the last word. Or do you have a question?
Tatiana Arguello, Executive Director of Nonprofit Staten Island. And as we integrate AI into the workforce, what policies can we implement as organizations to make sure that our data is being used safely and ethically? And the second part of that question is, I know a lot of folks have been talking about AI replacing people in the workforce, so can you comment on that as well?
It's tragic when people just decide that this is what we're going to do because they see the headlines and they say, well, they can just do this, you know. I don't mind if you say, is there a better role that this person can play, because computers can help us with some other part of it, right? Not just let's get rid of a bunch of people. That's where we are as a society, that Wall Street rewards you if you just lay off a bunch of people. Nonprofits is a little different, but one of the things that we can do as nonprofits is thinking about the retraining and helping people understand this stuff, making sure that when they apply for a job, that they're not, you know, or if you're training them for the workforce, what are, like, one of the skills that's going to be in the 21st century is this writing prompts for AI. That's like a skill. The problem is, if you go on your Twitter or your IG, there are ads that say you can make $5,000 a month writing prompts for, well, that doesn't work like that, right? So how do we, there's so much lies, a set of lies and disinformation just coming at us all the time, that that's the problem. So to your question, helping people see the problems, helping people think about the problems, and then all of us have to come up with the answers. There is no specific answer. I will tell you that if you remember, I started by showing you all the things I used to talk about on TV. And whenever parents used to call me, I used to do lots of workshops with parents. They were so worried about IM. Does anybody remember instant message? Parents used to think this is the worst thing in history. This is going to kill our kids and be awful. And you know what I used to say? This too shall pass. And something worse is coming. And sure enough, oh my God, it is coming. So I want to give Marilyn the final word, and then we're going to say goodbye to all of you.
I want to thank everybody for coming today. I want to thank Community Media of Staten Island for this wonderful access to community programming, which will benefit. I want to thank Tatiana and Nonprofit Staten Island for bringing their membership in so that we could learn together. And I promise you that we will follow up with information for you. And we appreciate you coming and being here. And this is my community. And I want this to be the greatest community in the world because I live here. And I love it. And I think that when we help one person in one part of the community, we help the entire community. And I thank you all for coming. And I thank you, Sree, for coming to Staten Island and teaching us today about AI. And I look forward to many more visits.
Thank you very much, everybody.